Director for CFA Society Malaysia. On behalf of the Society, I would like to wish all of you a warm welcome to today's virtual session on a conversation on CFA Institute Certificate in ESG Investing, our professional informative series part 2. Before I officially start the session, I would like to quickly touch on the housekeeping. This session is about an hour, which includes the conversation that we will have with our 3 special guest speakers, plus the Q&A sessions. Please ensure your mics are on mute throughout, and this session will be recorded, to which the recording will be available to you after the session. Also, we would like you all to know that we do welcome comments and questions via the comment chat box, so please do ask away. So how did today's session came about? I have to admit that this was pretty much impromptu, meaning that it was not part of our calendar planning at all. A month ago, this idea just came about because the society has been getting calls and questions a lot with regards to this particular certificate. And then about 1.5 months ago, one of them actually asked if I could connect her to any one of our CFA charter holders that has already obtained the certificate. Of course, after seeking permission and all, I connected her. And then it got me thinking, why don't we do a virtual session for this to hear directly from the horse's mouth? So here you have it. All of you here are lucky enough to hear directly shortly from 3 of our board of directors who are the first 60 people in Malaysia who has successfully earned the certificate in ESG investing. But before I introduce all 3 of them to you all, let me share with you all the agenda for today. I'll be running through with you all an overview of CFA Institute and the CFA Society Malaysia. And then I'll pass on over to Bobby, who will be sharing with you guys an overview of the certificate in ESG investing. And then we'll take on the conversations with 3 of our board of directors who have earned the certificate. And then we'll end it with the Q&A sessions. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce all of you, our speakers for today. The first being Mr. Chong Jin Yong, who is also the president of CFA Society Malaysia. Jin Yong is the managing director and principal trainer of August Learning, a company that specializes in education for the financial industry. He is the former head of structured products team in AmBank's global markets. He also plays an active role with the Asian Institute of Chartered Bankers, formerly known as IBBM, in various capacities as an examiner, textbook author, and trainer for the following examination programs: Chartered Banker, PKMC, IPPC. Jin Yong graduated from the University of Malaya with a Bachelor of Engineering. Yep, you heard that right, Bachelor of Engineering, and was awarded the PKMC with distinction. And he's also the 32nd person in Malaysia who has passed the CFA Institute Certificate in ESG and Investing. Our second speaker for today, Mr. Bobby Lee, who is the former Capital Market Manager of EPF. He is experienced in the risk management from his previous role at RHB Investment Bank, EY, and AmBank. He graduated with a bachelor's degree in electronic engineering and an MBA in Finance and Multimedia University. Yes, both Jin Yong and Bobby have something in common with an engineering background. In addition, Bobby is also a certified financial risk manager by the Global Association of Risk Professionals and a chartered alternative investment analyst by the Chartered Alternative Investment Analyst Association. And he is the 12th person, yep, he's the top 12, who has successfully passed the CFA Institute Certificate in ESG Investing when we started launching here in Malaysia end of 2021. And our third speaker for today, the rose among the thorns, Miss Lexi Lee. She's currently heading a Singapore domiciled group that runs a systematic trend following CTA for its hedge fund business development. Lexi is the former investment specialist at OCBC Bank and industry analyst at CFRA Research, formerly known as S&P Malaysia. She's also one of the winners of the Big One Hackathon in 2021. It was a challenge that's co-organized by us, the CFA Society Malaysia, and Bloomberg. Lexi graduated with honors in Bachelor of Finance and Investment from Tunku Abdul Rahman University College. She's also a certified financial planner, advanced financial modeler by the Financial Modeling Institute, and the holder of Investor Protection Professional Certification Analyst by AICB. She is recently the 56th person who has successfully passed the CFA Institute Certificate in ESG Investing in Malaysia. So now I shall run through with all of you an overview of CFA Institute as well as CFA Society Malaysia. CFA Institute is a global, non-for-profit association with investment professionals that sets the standards for professional excellence since 1947. Its mission is to lead the investment profession globally by promoting the highest standards of ethics, education, and professional excellence for the ultimate benefit of society. Globally, they have a very large network and connectivity with over 190,000 CFA charter holders, where 25,000 plus firms employ these charter holders. They also have 650 plus affiliated universities with over 160 societies around the world, where Malaysia is one of them. The programs by CFA institutes are recognized by 60 plus regulators in 40 plus markets. Thus, they have been positively impacting the investment professionals since 1947, over 75 years now. Where Malaysia is concerned, our society has been around for over 25 years with the vision to foster an investment community that is based on trust, ethics, and sustainable practices that is valued by the society. Our mission is very much aligned to CFA Institute that is to be achieved through our 4 key pillars: operational excellence, develop future professionals, deliver member value, and build market integrity. Locally, we also have a large network and connectivity with 900 plus CFA charter holders, where 250 plus firms employ these charter holders. We also have our employer recognition program running in its 3rd year now with 20 employer partners on board. And this is broken down to 8 premium employer partners and 12 recognized employer partners. We have about 2,000 plus candidates currently embarking on the CFA program journey and 16 affiliated universities. Now I shall pass over to Bobby, who will be running through with all of you on the overview of the certificate in ESG investing. Over to you, Bobby.
Yep, sure. Hi, everyone. Bobby here. Hope everyone is able to listen up a bit because this session is more about sharing sessions, and hope you guys can have more questions so that we can address it accordingly. When we talk about this ESG investing certs, right, it's actually a certificate for self-studies, right? You can do it on your own, pace. It is created by the practitioner for the practitioners, and then basically that means it's more towards like applications and so forth, so you can apply it directly when it comes to your workplace and so forth. The exams will be 2 hours and 20 minutes, and the price will be 795 USD. I would say that this is actually a very good paper in terms of like enhancing your knowledge in terms of ESG investing. So talk about investments and all. At this juncture, we have over 20,000 registrations since UK has launched it in 2019. So next slide, please. So who are taking the certificates in ESG investing? Basically, if you are portfolio managers, you are analysts, fund manager, investment strategies, consultant, wealth managers, anyone who actually involved in financial industries, right? If let's say you are interested in terms of like gaining the knowledge of ESG investments, I think it will be highly recommended for you guys now. Next slide, please. So just a slight brief through on the chapters, the breakdown, okay, of the study syllabus on these ESG investing. They focus on 3, as the name implies, right? ESG. We are talking about environment, social, and governance. So the focus will be on these 3 factors, right? It's more on the I would say the progress on a global basis of this growth in terms of ESG investments. And the one of the chapters also focus on engagement and stewardship, because when we talk about investments, right, we are purely playing a role as a shareholder. So stewardship is quite important from that sense to promote ESG investments. The ESG mindset. We also talk about valuations, analysis, and integrations of ESG in terms of your valuations. So they talk about in terms of how you're going to integrate like risk premiums when it comes to ESG risk into your valuations model and how you're going to consolidate or integrate your portfolio in terms of investments when it comes to ESG perspective. So you can just have this, this like screenshots, and then you can see roughly you can see roughly how it works in terms of the syllabus itself. As we said, the exam cost is around $795, right? If you plan to reschedule, right, which unlikely I would say, if let's say you have the discipline and commitment, the cost for rescheduling will be roughly around $30. Estimated study time is around 100 hours, but I would say that you guys can do better than that. You just require probably around 80 hours in order to understand the whole topics over here. Two types of options here if you would take the exam. One is the computer-based testing, and the other one is online proctor testing. Difference here is that one you can choose to do it at home. The other one is that you go to the proctor centers and take your exam. Once you register, within 6 months you have to complete the paper itself. You have 6 months to complete the paper. Format is very simple. It's just multiple choice for 100 questions. The results will be published to you directly straight away after you have completed the exam. So this is just a brief walkthrough in terms of this ESG investing paper. Back to you, Sini.
Thank you, Bobby. Should any of you have questions on the syllabus and all that, please do ask away at the chat box and we will answer them during the Q&A session. Okay, so let's get the conversation going with 3 of our board of directors. I'll start by asking Jin Yong first. What made you enroll in the certificate in ESG investing against other certifications out there available in the market, especially when you are already a CFA charter holder?
Hi, good morning, or rather good afternoon, everyone. Just one word, market demand. Okay, sorry, that's 2 words. Well, I'm in the business of providing training. When I say training, I'm talking about education, right, to folks who work in the banking, investment, and financial services industry. And the feedback from my customers, i.e. the bankers, the relationship managers, the wealth managers, the financial consultants, the folks that sell their bank's products and services to their customers. So the feedback I get from this group of people is that they want to be better equipped with knowledge on ESG, be it at the awareness level, and some of them even up to how it is actually being applied in the products that they are selling or potentially will be selling. So that's the main reason, because I need to know it so that my clients know about it.
Thanks, Jin Yong. This is the same applies to Bobby and Lexi. Has it also been the same for you both?
I think to me, it's like, because I'm working in the hedge fund industry, so, it's like a must to know what is ESG. So I also was trying to compare, so many cert in the market. I can name a few here, like European Federations of Financial Analysis Societies. They also issue a ESG cert. And recently I saw a lot of my banker friends, they also took up this cert by Frankfurt School of Finance and Management, which also sponsored by the bank itself to take up this ESG cert. So, but I think in my opinions, the focus and also the target audience for the CFA ESG certs, right, is very focusing on the traditional CFA community. It's like whether you are the portfolio managers, whether you are working in the risk management or you are the analyst, is very relevant. So to me, the syllabus itself has a very good focus, talking about climate change. They do also go through, what are the tools to integrate ESG factors into your portfolio, as well as, all the governance related matter. So, and also the understanding around the quantitative ESG factors also features more strongly than the other certs. And ultimately, this actually make me feels like, oh, why not I take a CFA cert rather than the others? It's more relevant to me as as someone working in the hedge fund industry. Yep.
Good to know. Bobby, has it been the same for you too?
I mean, both Lexi and Jin Young has already explained very well in terms of from this aspect. For me, it's more on the convenience because as a chartered member, it's so convenient that they do offer these ESG investing certificates for me. So in that sense of convenience, right? So might as well, because the structure of the syllabus is structured in a way that it's easier for those who actually took up CFA to progress from that aspect.
Okay, thank you. Good to know. Back to you, Jin Young. Can you share with us the latest development of ESG or sustainable investing in the society, please?
In the society, so yeah, we as in the CFA Society of Malaysia, we will be organizing a sustainable finance conference in, I think, what, 2 months' time? So we're still working on the details. Stay tuned for that, for more details. Wait, hold on. Cindy, when you say society, you're referring to society ourselves or the society in general?
It can be applicable to both. So yeah, you've already answered the first one where we are.
Yeah. Okay, I can only think of, right off the top of my head, just remember that about a month ago, Bursa conducted their first auction for the voluntary carbon credits on the Bursa carbon exchange, carbon market. So which was quite a milestone. The only thing that I see, I guess, is a bit disappointing is that the carbon credits are actually generated not from any Malaysian activity, business, or project. I think one is from China and the other one is from Cambodia, if I'm not mistaken. Right. So hopefully in the future we will see carbon credits being generated in Malaysia, because the idea is you want to provide capital, provide funding towards activities that bring about positive, sustainable change in the ESG space in the domestic sector. So yeah, that's the thing that I can think of off the top of my head.
Good enough. Thanks, Jin Young. But back to you again. We do have this kind of question as well along the way to say that CFA program already covers ESG as part of its syllabus. So how does that differ from the CFA program as opposed to this certificate in ESG investing?
The CFA program, I think some of you probably already know, is a very complete, extensive program. That's why it's so tough. So it equips the charter holders with the necessary skills from quantitative methods to all the various asset classes valuation, all the way up to investment decision making and portfolio construction and management. Now, the CFA syllabus is reviewed every year, and ESG considerations have now been included. Actually, I won't say it's now, it has been included in a couple of years already, included in the syllabus as an integral part of the investment decision-making process. So ESG is already embedded within the CFA program. But for people like me who took the exam ages ago, that wasn't really in the syllabus at that point. The ESG cert, on the other hand, it starts and ends with ESG. So in a way, you can probably say it's a subset within the broader CFA program scope. But of course, it's more focused on the sustainable and ESG space.
So there you go. For those who are curious, what's the difference between the CFA program as well as the ESG investing cert? Okay, so Bobby, this question is for you.
Yeah.
Can you share a specific example of how you have applied your knowledge of the syllabus or the curriculum of the ESG investing in your current role?
If you look at the context of recently issued policies, right? Like for example, Bank Negara recently has issued a climate risk policy which we need to comply before the end of 2023 or 2024. It depends on the stages. There are a few things to comply with. Then how would I think the syllabus of these ESG investing certificates, right? It does cover from, as I mentioned earlier, right? You have 3 factors, E, S, and G, and climate is just part of E itself. So I would say that it helps me in terms of understanding the policy, which is from the context of Malaysia space itself, easier to understand. And you have a head start in terms of picking up things whenever there's issuance of new policies in the local space itself. Yeah. So I would say that from that perspective, it does help. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. And this is a very common question because we all know that all three of you, you guys have a full-time role working and whatnot. So how did you prepare for the exam while managing your full-time job?
I would say for me personally, I think it's more on discipline. So as long as you are able to schedule, your work, you are able to schedule your work, your family, and also the studies together, I think it should be fine. Let's say, yeah. How about Jin Yong or Lexi?
To me, I as usual, right, as a student, you just read the whole study materials. I actually do go through the whole entire, it's about 600 old pages. And then I did all the questions for each of the lessons. And also they actually give you one set of a mock exam. I also did that as well. But I think I realized that I think the main challenge for studying ESG, right, maybe the questions is not really enough. So I also found out that there are some very helpful third-party providers like Quate or Brainies. You can actually take it up as a alternative sources for your for more questions. So in terms of time required, I have never really counted my study time in hours, but I do remember that I took like a 5 days annual leave. I did my study at the CFA office for 4 days. Yeah. So like just now what Bobby mentioned earlier, CFA Institute actually recommends about 100 hours. So it really depends on your speed, your learning style, etc. So for me, it's about 5 days. But what about Jin Yong?
So now we know the secret. All you need to do is make sure you go and study at CFA Society Malaysia's office. Okay, myself, I don't think I have anything special. Is read the textbook, do the practice questions and mock exam. The plain boring route, no shortcuts, unfortunately. For me, old-fashioned, which anyway, I think I'm the oldest here, age-wise, among the three. But yeah, you just have to put in the hours. I think just now, Bobby, you mentioned what, 80 hours or instead of the recommended 100. So
yeah, I would say around 80.
I think that's around the ballpark. Again, I didn't keep track as well, but of course, bearing in mind, because this program is open to everyone virtually, so depending on your background, what prior knowledge you bring, you may need a bit more, or you may even need a bit less than what we did. So I guess it's individual, but I think for what CFA Institute's recommended study hours is to apply broadly in general.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it goes to show it all depends on the individual, so it's not fixed on stone. But Lexi, you mentioned you studied over here. Yes, you did, but it's not something we encourage you all to come to our office. Yeah, but we welcome calls. Physically, you just have to take a number. Okay. Moving on. I see some questions coming. Don't worry, we'll address all your questions accordingly soon. Yeah. Okay. To Lexi again. Understand since you already mentioned you are in the hedge fund industry, so how does your institutional clients recognize and value this certificate in your role of work?
Yeah, I think because recently ESG investing has actually gained a significant momentum in these few years. So, and more investors also seek to align their investment with their values and to achieve sustainable financial returns, right? So fund management company, I think in Malaysia, local fund house, they are also very aggressive to launch ESG funds. Client, similarly, they also wanted to invest into ESG funds, right? So from a fund management company point of view, if you have the ability to incorporate ESG into your investment process, I think to the fund managers itself, or even to the fund management company, it is a way for you to improve your risk management process. Okay, because when you factor in all these ESG factors when you're selecting the equities for investment, it is like a impact, is like a positive impact to the company financials return, right? So in turn, in another way, allocators also will look into all these things. And some of the fund management company who has a very strong rapport in launching ESG funds or even managing a ESG funds, that seek to have a better opportunity to access more capital. In a way, is that they have more chance to raise more AUM from the allocator. Yeah. So that's what I've seen in market, regardless is in the traditional investment or even in the hedge fund. Even right now in the hedge fund, they are also looking into ESG alternative investment. So it's quite, I would say, if you are taking ESG cert, right, it can actually help you to equip your knowledge, you know, and also your skill set somehow.
Okay, thanks, Lexi. I think you've also covered some bits to the next question on what are the most significant benefits of earning the certificate and how has it differentiated you from other finance professionals? Because I know you touched a bit here and there also earlier, so maybe anything you want to
Like I said earlier,
focus
right,
on.
earning this CFA ESG cert will be able to help everyone, okay, to stay up to date with the latest trend, what are the best practice of ESG investing. And also I did mention earlier, if you go through the whole entire certifications, right, you actually go or will be able to go through that, you know, what are the tools available to integrate the ESG factors into your investment process, and etc. Second, I would say that earning a CFA ESG cert, right, would be able to help us to differentiate ourselves in the job market. So because recently more and more investors or even regulators, they are very prioritized ESG factors. So if you are someone are well equipped with ESG knowledge, I think you'll be in a high demand. Yeah. And last but not least, I think this one I need to emphasize, because CFA Institute is a very highly respected organizations in this finance industry, right? So earning this CFA ESG cert will be able to give us this kind of you know, credibility or even recognitions who actually committed or take up this CFA cert. I just give you a very rare case example that happened in my connections. So a friend of mine was trying to apply a local in Malaysia, local boutique fund management license. So one of the pitch for them to SC, right, was that they will launch a ESG fund. So the security commissions, there's a person in charge, was asking the fund managers, he said, in what capacity you can manage this ESG fund? So my friend say, oh, I'm taking up this CFA ESG cert, you know. Then the SC say, oh, once you pass the exam, you show me a result, then I will consider, like, you know, give you the license to manage the fund and also the ESG fund. And this is the real case that happened, that SC really recognized the CFA ESG cert. Yeah.
Thank you for the insightful sharing. I mean, that's really helpful for those who are interested in that line. Okay, this question is applicable to all of you as well, because we do get many questions like this. How relevant is the certificate to the industry? So would you all be, any one of you, to be able to share your point of view? How is this certificate is relevant to anyone in our industry?
I think the certificates, right, is quite designed for the investment practitioners. So it's pretty relevant for anyone working in the front or the back offices. Like just now what Bobby shared in the earlier sections, right? So whether you are working in a wealth management company, okay, or you're working in the REITs, or even today you're facing a client doing sales, or you are the investment product managers, it's good that for you to equip all this ESG knowledge so that you know how to let's say you are the fund product managers, you know how to filter all these things. So even big banks, right? I saw this research report. In fact, UBS Asset Management or JP Morgan, Investcorp, KPMG, they also encourage their employee to take up this CFA ESG cert. So it also proved that the relevance for this cert to the investment practitioners in the industry.
I believe Lexi have covered everything over here. So I would say that it's really, really relevant to those who are actually interested in the financial industry or those who are already in the financial industry. Yeah.
Thank you for that feedback.
Let me add to that. Sorry,
okay. No, go ahead.
I think the question is not whether it's relevant or not. I'm going to use another R word, which is recognition. So here's the thing. I presume some of you here are CFA charter holders or aspiring to be CFA charter holders. You are on the CFA program journey now. So all the knowledge that you can gain from the CFA program, you could just obtain it without even taking the exam, because all this kind of knowledge is available in textbooks, in a lot of content online now. So why do you want to go through the trouble of taking an exam? It's not easy. You have to pay a huge investment in time and money, right? It's because of the recognition of having the cert. So I would say the same applies here. The knowledge that you can gain from this program, you can obtain it elsewhere. But what matters is the recognition from having the cert. And I think this is the first time I'm hearing Lexi giving it an example, a real life example of her friend applying for the fund manager license. So it's the recognition, and that's key. Yep.
Yeah, in short, the brand of CFA itself, it speaks volume. Okay, but leveraging back, okay, hold on. There was something, just slipped my mind, but never mind, I'll come back to that question. Okay, thanks for that. Back to Jin Yong. How can finance professionals stay up to date on the latest developments and best practices in ESG investing? Like, is there any group newsletter updates of the after one's passings and all that?
Okay, this is going to be a lazy way of answering. Follow us on our social media platforms. The CFA Society of Malaysia, we provide a lot of info and content through all these platforms. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, which is the truth. On our site, we usually update what institute wants us to do and whatever developments that they have. So please stay tuned at our social medias. Okay, so back to all of you as well. How do you see the field of sustainable investing evolving over the next decade? And what role do you see a CFA charter holder playing in this space? Bobby, you want to take this first?
Yeah. I don't have a crystal ball where I can see what will happen or how it's going to be evolved in the future. But what I can say here is this. So let's talk about just only on Malaysia space itself. When we talk about Malaysia space, I would say that CFA charter holders will have a crucial role in terms of crucial role to play in this space, because most of us actually possess the necessary skill sets and also the expertise in terms of analyzing ESG issues, and also integrate them into your investment decisions making processes. So the charter holder can provide also valuable insights into ESG risks and also opportunities that arises or any company faces, as well as help develop the investment strategies that align with the values and goals for their client, right? For those who actually have the value and goals who are focusing in terms of ESG perspective. So additionally, we also can help advance the sustainable investing field by advocating for greater transparency, standardizations in ESG reporting itself. Okay, and by working together with the policymakers and also the regulators, so then we can promote a better sustainable investing practices, I would say. So I would say that will be charter holder roles that I would say that we can take up.
Okay, thanks, Bobby. Jin Yong or Lexi, you want to add on to that?
I think leading on from what Bobby mentioned about policymakers, I think ongoing, standardization will be key to improving the market depth and liquidity of this being. It's not really a new asset class by itself, but of course, because of the new considerations, the ESG factors, new standards and standards and frameworks have already been announced and put in place. Bursa has their reporting framework for disclosures for their listed companies in terms of the sustainability. And also, of course, globally, there are standards that looks into how investees, companies can ensure that their disclosure meets certain standards. So I think all this is important in ensuring that the market participants, when they are in this space, they are able to compare apples to apples. That's what standardization allows you to do.
Okay, thank you. Now I remember what I wanted to say just now before Jinyo cut me off. I was writing on Lexi's sharing on all those companies that she has mentioned. Just wanted to let you all know as well, the existing employer partners that the society has, quite a number of them are strongly pushing for the ESG cert to their employees. So for that, it's something in time that we will be using as our testimonials to share with whoever is interested in this cert. And then, although I know we stress a lot on the CFA charter holders who have already done the cert or who want to do it, but the good news is you don't have to be a CFA charter holder to do the cert. So if any one of you who want to do the cert first before you embark on the CFA program, by all means, you're more than welcome to. Okay, just to add some spice in our conversation, this is particularly for Jin Yong, yeah, because I would like to play the devil's advocate here, because recently in international news, in particular in the US, where ESG has been one of the hottest news in the financial world, and there also have been some debates in the States to block ESG investing. What are your views on this, and what do you think, or whether that this will dampen our efforts, the society's efforts here in promoting the certificate in Malaysia? Jin, you're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Okay. I think when it comes to what's happening in the US, yes, I've seen some headlines about some of the states. There's whole woke movement, and then the anti-woke, and then there's the left and right conservative. I think it's a lot of it has to do with politics. So setting politics aside, right? Yes, some of their states have turned the other way, whereby they are blocking some of their state pension and retirement funds from incorporating ESG factors. So they say, no, we do not want your investment decision-making process to include ESG factors. Instead, it should only focus on maximizing financial return. I think it is, of course, it is very important. I mean, the fiduciary duties of all these fund managers is to maximize the financial return of the funds under their management, right? So I think this is where the term ESG, I mean, this is my personal opinion, probably they should have just call it instead of ESG, they should call it GES instead. Why I say that is because then they should emphasize governance first. But I think why environmental and social is the one that typically hogs the limelight is because those are easily measurable. It's easy to demonstrate a company's commitment to that. But I think at the end of the day, you can do all the net zero, zero carbon footprint initiatives, but that would amount to nothing if the governance aspect isn't there. In financial scandals, financial crises of the last 20, 30 odd years, if you really want to trace the source, I mean, the reason why it occurred in the first place, is in lack of a G partner, right? So there's some unethical players, actors in the scene. So yes, these kind of developments may hamper some of our efforts to promote ESG investing in that part of the world, but thankfully we're not in the US. Right? I think in Asia, the folks are, the tone is being set from top. The largest asset managers, asset owners, called EPF, they are really committed to do this. So yeah, I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, you did somewhat. At the end of the day, it's about, I mean, conventionally, traditionally, it's all about maximizing financial returns, right? So the governance will come in place. Okay, before we move on to the questions that was asked during the registrations and even during the chat box here, to all three of you, what would your advice be to CFA charter holders already who has not obtained the cert yet and considering earning this ESG in investing cert?
I would say that Malaysia is still at a very early stage of this sustainable developments, right? So which means that you have actually a unique advantage in this competitive environment if you take action now, okay? So I would highly encourage CFA charter holder to not miss this opportunity, so you guys can have a head start in our local market space, I would say, yeah.
Thanks, Bobby. Jin Yong or Lexi?
It shouldn't be just CFA charter holders.
Yeah.
Anyone considering entry into the investment industry should take it. Now, you see, they always say, go where the money is going or where the capital is going, right? So I still remember this headline I read, I think 1 or 2 months ago, and I quickly Googled it before this session. So there's this headline in one of the news articles I read: wind and solar were the EU's top electricity source in 2022 for the first time ever. That means they are now providing electricity in far greater percentage compared to fossil fuels, right? So obviously a lot of capital, a lot of investments needs to flow in that into that sector for that to happen, and it's continuing to happen more so now because the EU is, of course, trying to reduce their reliance on natural gas because of the whole Ukraine war thing, right? So yeah, I mean, that's just one example of why you should consider this.
Okay, so I think before I go to the questions from the registration side, just running through the chat box queries, I noticed some of you, Bobby have also answered, right? The exam centers in Malaysia, yes, you can take it. It's all, we do have the exam, you can take it here in KL itself. Okay, and then moving on from Mei Cheong, what is your motivation and what ESG elements have you incorporated in your portfolio? How do you find combining the ESG points for investing in EM? I assume EM is emerging markets, right? So I'm not too sure whether Jin Yong, Bobby, or Lexi will be able to share on this query.
Well, I'm not. Oh, sorry, Bobby, go ahead. You first.
No, sorry. A bit lag. Sorry. I was saying that I would like to look at the question first. So what's the motivations and what ESG elements have you incorporated in the portfolio, and how do you find combining ESG points for investing in EM? Not sure what do you mean by ESG point for investing in EM. I think the motivations here is more towards long-term returns, I would say. Looking at how the developments, let's just not focus because when we talk about ESG, right, a lot of people straight away think about climate, right? Environments, everything is about environments. But you have to remember that actually the S and G, right, especially the G part, it has been implemented in terms of investment decision-making process since I don't know how many centuries ago, because when we talk about investing in companies, governance always comes first, right? You have the board of directors, you have the structure of the management, and so forth. So I think it's just like an extensions that we at this current juncture, we really focus a lot more in terms of the environment instead. compared to the social and governance elements now. So not sure about how do you find combining ESG points for investing. What does it mean on that question? If probably you could elaborate more, May Chong, on these questions, then we could reply appropriately from that perspective. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Bobby. I think Ken Kun also just now asked, which Jin replied. Yeah, this is a one-off paid cert. So basically, once you pay, you pass, that's it. It's not like your CFA program where you have to continue paying for your membership and all. No. Okay, and then Jasmine also asked if there's tuition or classes provided for this exam, and Bobby replied, like what Lexi has shared earlier, currently it's an online thing by Quartic, but on the society's end, we are looking into having a prep provider in Malaysia. So do keep a lookout. When that takes place, we definitely make the announcement. And then Fatin also asked, how would you reply when someone asks, would we have to sacrifice returns for ESG? I think that was somewhat answered by Jin Yong earlier, right? Not exactly directly to this, but if you...
Maybe I'll add to that. It's not a one-size-fits-all answer. I mean, I would definitely say, no, you should not sacrifice returns for ESG. I just like to point out, also leading back to, who was it? May Chong's question, ESG points. So I'm presuming you mentioned what you mean is how the three ESG factors contribute towards your decision-making process. The thing is, it will probably be, not probably, it's different across industries, right? You see, I'm going to use the analogy of bonds credit rating, because credit rating, that one looks at it from one perspective, which is the ability to repay, ability to service debt, right? So that's one factor. So I think that's a very well-established mechanism for assessing the credit risk, right? So over here now we have actually, although we just term it ESG, there's actually three different factors. And these three different factors will affect different industry differently. For instance, the oil and gas industry, obviously the E factor will feature very prominently. And then for services sector, let's say the IT, where it uses a lot of, deals with data a lot, I think the G factor will then come into the picture a lot more, right? So it affects different industries, different sectors, differently, the three factors. So we don't have a one, like I said, there's no one size fits all.
Okay, thanks, Jin Yong. I will now go to the questions from the registrations, but over to you all here who have any more questions, please do ask at the chat box, right? So during the registration, some of you have already asked this upfront, with number one being, can you describe approaches to ESG integration in asset management in Malaysian industries generally, and how has it evolved over time? Jin Yong, do you want to take this one?
Over time, okay. Just a disclaimer, I'm not involved in the fund management industry in terms of my work experience, but from what I've been reading and seeing, I think the starting point has always been negative screening, meaning what you cannot invest or put your money in. So it's like a blacklist, right? And this is something that I think has existed in Malaysia even before the term ESG come into the picture. What do I mean by that is that I'm sure everyone is aware that we have, in Malaysia, we also have the Islamic banking, the Sharia compliant funds in the fund management industry, right? So how do these work is that essentially there's a yes, no, no, this is a company you can't invest in. So it's a plain yes, no binary decision. So that is the most basic level of how the ESG integration works in the first place. And in fact, in other parts of the world, historically, one of the earliest to incorporate ESG integration, and they don't use that term at that point. It has always been from a religious perspective, right? They don't invest in the weapons or companies who make bullets, guns, and all that, right? So of course, as time progresses, and what I mentioned just now, you have the three factors. So there's more and more availability of data, metrics, ratings, and scores. Means it's now possible for you to have a range. Just like in the credit space, you have investment grade versus non-investment grade. Within investment grade, you have AAA versus single A. Right? So that level of granularity is now slowly coming into the ESG space as well. So I think that's what I can share from that angle.
Thanks, Jin Yong. The second and number fourth questions, I think we more or less covered in the conversation that we had. But if you want to add on, feel free to. But more, just want to stress on number three. What are the prospects to utilize the ESG certification in M&A consulting? I know three of you here are not the expertise in this at the M&A consulting bit, but generally the thoughts of this question.
Well, when we talk about M&A, we still talk about looking into valuations of companies and also the synergy part of the company. So basically, it's just how to add on in terms of the ESG factors, in terms of considerations when it comes to merging and acquisitions, I would say. So I would say that if you have the knowledge on these ESG investments, it does help to enhance your view in terms of looking at this M&A M&A space itself, looking from the ESG perspective, I would say. Yeah. Now on the nitty-gritty part or in details part or in that part, when it comes to M&A, we are not the experts here. Sorry about that. But I would say that definitely it will help on a general basis. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. There have been no more questions. Or now, if there's none, we would like to wrap up. And yeah, I guess no more questions from the floor. Okay, so that's it. Hope all of you here had some key takeaways from this session. We have come to our very end, and on behalf of CFA Society Malaysia, I would like to thank all of you for your time, and also a big thank you to Jin Yong, Bobby, and Lexi. So as you can see on the screen here, please do follow us on our social media platforms for latest updates of whatever events and talks and all that. And we hope to see you all at our future event or the next event. Thank you and have a great Tuesday afternoon and the rest of the week, leading to the long weekend.
All right, thanks, guys.
Happy holidays to
Selamat Hari Raya to those who are
yes.
celebrating.
Correct.